Recording in progress.
Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to
Something Else.
Something Else, Daddy.
This is Masao, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to Something Else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
Welcome to another edition of Something Else Podcasting Network. I'm your host, Arya Whitner. Another fantastic card we have for you today. Podcast maker Grizzly Smith has really outdone himself this week. He'll be headlined by Mid-South from May 17th, 1984. Also today, you'll see Mid-South from May 10th, 1984. Our guest to commentary today is someone you all know and love. The Something Else offices get more cards and letters about this man than anyone else. He has an open invitation to appear on the show anytime he's in the area. You know him, you love him, the Texas two-stepper, Trae Weiscarver.
I'm only here for the Hope Watermelon Festival.
Ooh, the Hope Watermelon Festival, is that coming up?
I think it's in the summer, so yeah, soon-ish.
Well, we do have some truly awful news to report here today to kick off the show. Earlier today, it was reported that social media influencer and WWE superstar Logan Paul was found alive at his home. He is 30 years old.
So sorry for our loss.
Yes. Oh, Lord. And apparently they're doing a match with Punch and Lyra Valkyria at the pay-per-view.
A what? What
was that?
I'm sorry. A what between who and Lyra Valkyria?
A rematch between Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria.
Oh, tremendous. Speaking of Lyra Valkyria, I want to bring something up that came up on social media. On social media, a couple of weeks ago. I think it was the Backlash pay-per-view. They showed Lyra Valkyria's fiance in the crowd, and it wasn't a particularly flattering shot, and it led to some discourse online that Miss Valkyria's partner was the reacher in the old reacher settler conundrum, and I just think that that's ridiculous because longtime former viewers of Pro Wrestling Noah know that LJ Cleary is quite literally a good-looking guy.
Is that who her fiance is?
Yes, that is LJ Cleary, who has, in addition to a longtime standout on the UK and Ireland independent scene, has also completed several successful tours of Pro Wrestling Noah, and is now based in the United States.
He is not a bad-looking guy. I must tell you that.
He's not. He's not.
Yeah.
The joke is that pre jumping from Noah to New Japan, the group that Jake Lee led in Noah that included LJ Cleary was called GLG, and it stood for Good Looking Guys.
Okay. All right.
Look, I understand that my jokes are fucking stupid, but this podcast is all I have. So let me make my stupid fucking jokes.
Wait, I thought this was a very serious podcast.
What is a serious... What? No, there's nothing serious about this. God, I hope not. I hope nobody takes us seriously. Whatever you do, don't take me seriously.
All right, so we got, we're doubling up on Mid-South this week, May 10th and 17th, 1984. due to us doing the David Von Erich Memorial Parade of Champions last week. And then next week we'll be back doing the same old shit. And by the way, to answer the question as to when the hell that Kamala match is airing, was it Kamala versus what's his name?
Max. Or was it?
It,
Was it Kamala and
it's
Max? Or Dog?
no, it
No,
wasn't
it was
Max.
Kabuki. Kabuki.
Kabuki, yes.
It was Dog. It was
Kabuki.
Dog and Max and Kabuki and Kamala.
That match is next week on World Class, so we're going to be skipping about 10 to 12 minutes next week.
Tremendous.
Yes. All right. I'm not even mad, but I know that a lot of people are happy with it. Do you have anything to say about Double or Nothing and the main event last night?
I didn't see it.
Okay, great. Do you know what happened?
No.
Okay, then. So moving on, let's talk about some Mid-South wrestling. Maybe we'll talk about it on Smoky Mountain this week. Moving on to Mid-South wrestling. So I thought that's what you were doing last night. I thought you were watching Double or Nothing.
I don't know why.
Because you said we couldn't do it, or if we did, you'd have nothing to say, and I'm like, oh, because you're watching Double or Nothing.
No. The reason that I would have nothing to say was because I hadn't watched these shows yet.
Well, I assumed you hadn't watched it, but I also figured, well, you're watching the AEW pay-per-view, so
Yeah, you would think I would be, wouldn't you?
It would make sense. But anyway, let's go to the intro of the first show, May 10, 1984, with JR and referee Joel Armstrong, who I will play in just a second.
And welcome to Mid-South Wrestling. I'm Jim Ross, and along with Joel Watts, we'll be here at Mike's side during this entire 60 minutes, and we have another exciting hour planned. And Joel, right at the top here, I think that we need to remind everyone or to update people on some things. We said here last week that Kerry Von Erich would be here with us, and unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, he can't be here. He won the World's Heavyweight Championship, the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship belt from Ric Flair at Texas Stadium recently. He has had to take those commitments, and Joel, I know you've known the Von Erich family for quite some time, and we're both very happy for them.
Yes, I am. I'm very proud of Kerry. He did a fine job in the Texas Stadium, a heck of a match with Ric Flair, and he did win the title.
Well, I tell you, they've had a lot of problems in that family, of course, with the death of David Von Erich, but very happy that Kerry is now the new holder of the World's Heavyweight Championship. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have a lot of exciting things here today. Steve, Dr. Death Williams will be with us. Also, Hacksaw Butch Reed, Jim Cornette's Midnight Express. Cornette has probably one of the most monumental announcements that has ever been made in wrestling to make today. Also, Nature Boy Buddy Landell and Masao Ito will team up. Magnum T.H.E goes against a newcomer, a very highly rated masked man called the Shadow. Also, the Mid-South television title will be on the line. That's Terry Taylor against Crusher Khrushchev. Also, Mr. Wrestling 2. It's going to be a great hour. You know, Joel, we've last week, the week before, we started talking about the Super Date at the Superdome. That's going to be an exciting time. I know the letters are coming in. You might want to update the people on that.
Yeah, I took my girlfriend to the last Superdome, and I realized that it's probably the best place in America to take a date to New Orleans. And this event will be chaperoned, and I think any girl would be pleased to go out with Ricky and Robert. I know them personally, and they're not only fun, but they're nice guys. They're good guys to be around.
I wholeheartedly agree. And ladies and gentlemen, to update you on the Super Date at the Superdome, let's look at this feature now.
So JR and Joel Armstrong are not Boyd Pierce and Bill Watts. So if you're wondering why I did my Boyd Pierce imitation at the beginning, there's no real reason for it. I just felt like doing it. So
I don't know. I guess I support your choice to just do it. So do you think did they announce that Kerry would be here knowing that he wouldn't be here because he was going to win the world title? Because that is the thing that they would do.
I think that it's possible they thought he'd actually still be able to be on the show because they don't really make a point of doing shit like that. I mean, it turns out they end up doing it, but it's not something like, because it's not like, okay, well, we're going to say Kerry Von Erich's going to be here, so we'll really pop the attendance here at the TV taping. And I don't think that was the case. It's like, oh, we're going to pop a TV rating. Like that never really, like TV ratings didn't really matter as much back in the 80s, as people obsessed over them a decade later. So I don't really think it was. Mm-hmm.
Okay, this may be a wacky theory. I don't think that it was to pop a rating. I think that sometimes they would, and especially a promoter like Watts, would do things like this just to reinforce the fact that this is a real life situation and sometimes random unexpected shit can happen.
I guess, I don't know. I think if, like, let's say, Kerry's not here because he won the world title, so he has his commitments. So instead, we're going to have Ric Flair here. Might be a hell of a trade up, but it'd be like, well, Kerry took over Flair's commitments, so now Flair has to take over some of Kerry's commitments.
The funny thing is that I'm pretty sure they're both just in Texas.
They are. By the way, Joel is very proud of Kerry, and I bet Kerry took that to heart, that the guy who was the referee and the promoter's son is proud of him. So I bet that meant a lot to Kerry.
Oh, I'm sure the Wattses went to cookouts out on Fritz's fucking ranch by the lake.
Oh, I'm sure of it. I did note that JR needs to pause between sentences, because he said the death of David Von Erich, we're very happy, and like those are two different sentences. The death of David Von Erich, and then we're very happy. It was the sentence fragment to begin the next sentence, but instead it just sounded like they were happy about the death of David Von Erich.
This is apropos of nothing, but do you remember the story that Jerry Jarrett had like a party at his house that he had just built, and when Lawler saw the house, that was when he said, either you're giving me half the territory or I'm fucking leaving.
I didn't hear that was the reason, but I'd believe it.
I think that's a story.
Well, I didn't know that was the story. I knew that Lawler said that, but I didn't know it was because he went to a house at Jerry Jarrett's party. He went to a party at Jerry Jarrett's house.
No, Jarrett's big place in Hendersonville is what I always heard.
Yeah. I believe it, though. I definitely believe it. So Jim Cornette has a monumental announcement today. First time we've ever heard anything like this, we're going to hear about here today. And the debut of a highly rated newcomer, the Shadow. And then,
indeed,
because we'll get to the Shadow. Did Joel somehow manage to make the Super Date at the Superdome sound even creepier than usual?
Is that possible? I don't think it can get much. Okay, well,
like the minute you say that to enter this contest you have to be unmarried and 18 years old, it's like, this isn't the Miss America contest.
Well, I want to say that this can't get creepier, but with the people that work in this territory and the neighboring territories, I don't fucking know.
Especially when Grizzly Smith is called the matchmaker on the show.
Yeah, that's a. Oh God.
Pedophilia is not funny, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
But yes, we'll get to it later, but I lost my shit about the fucking Super Date at the Superdome. Purely because we watched these two episodes back to back. We saw this fucking same video 4 times.
Oh my God. And this is what I realized. Oh my God, they're going to show it twice a show, every show to the Superdome, aren't they?
Yes, probably.
Jesus.
Can I just say it now? Newest inductee into the Something Else Hall of This Sucks, the Super Date at the Superdome, inducted today for driving Arya fucking crazy.
Okay, here's the question. Do you think that they were told, do not fuck the girls or you're fired, or if you don't fuck the girls, you're fired?
If you don't fuck the girls, you're fired.
Okay, thought so.
Because if it was don't fuck the girls, we wouldn't be only having it to single girls.
Okay,
18.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point.
Then, just in case I thought the show wasn't going more off the rails, we get a video package because Jay Youngblood is headed in.
Jay Youngblood.
Yes. We're informed that Ricky Steamboat has retired to focus on his gym business, which was the inside story for Steamboat said that Jay Youngblood is on so many drugs, he didn't want to be associated with Jay anymore. And so I looked it up because I'm like, man, I don't remember Jay Youngblood being here. And Jay Youngblood comes in for a TV taping in 4 weeks, and in 5 weeks he's back wrestling in Mid-Atlantic.
And in about 15, 16 months, he will no longer be with us.
He did, yo. He did. Yeah. Watts described him at one point because Bill Watts did a voiceover over matches of his from Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
He describes him as like a blanket. He's all over you.
Yeah. Hey, if people don't know, Steamboat and Youngblood were a hell of a tag team.
Yes. So we finally go to the ring for our first match. It is Dr. Death Steve Williams returning to the territory for like the first time in 6 months versus Steve Brinson. Boyd Pierce is doing ring announcing, and he's wearing his grandmother's drapes this week. I know Brinson did not appear to know how to take a bump off of a football tackle, and then Doc won with the Oklahoma Stampede.
Quote, a very impressive young man in Steve Brinson lost in 94 seconds.
I mean, if he wasn't impressive, he may have lost in 34 seconds.
You know what? That's true. Hey, look, the way that these guys, well, shit, I can't kayfabe that anymore because Lawler told me how it works. I was going to say, surely these guys are winning amateur matches to get these pro shots, right?
I mean, Lawler ruined it for you on Memphis TV. That may not be how Mid-South handles things.
Well, clearly Memphis. Look, I clearly Memphis is the only wrestling that's real.
Yeah. And we've seen in World Class that it takes you 8 to 10 minutes to beat, your average job guy. So, I mean, there you go.
You see, fucking, imagine what Dr. Death would do to Johnny Mantell or Kelly Kiniski. He could eat both of them alive in 3 minutes.
I don't even think it would take that long.
Well, if he doesn't want to get a tummy ache, he might take it slow.
Let's go now to an interview with Butch Reed.
Wrestling fans, it's always personally a great pleasure for me to talk with the Junkyard Dog, and I was looking forward to that reunion here last week when I talked to the Junkyard Dog, but some very unusual things happened. And before we show you some of the things that happened, I also talked to Hacksaw Butch Reed earlier. Let's show that exciting action and listen to Butch Reed now. Ladies and gentlemen, last week here on Mid-South Wrestling, an old issue was reignited. Hacksaw Butch Reed was instrumental in that situation, and what happened last week here, I think, has no excuse.
Well, I tell you what, yeah, I painted that old greasy dog because they say he's the best, greatest black athlete that ever lived. Well, that's a lie because you're looking at him right here, baby. And I just put his natural colors on him, yellow dog. Oh, high yellow dog, y'all can call him right now.
All right, so short, sweet, to the point, and then they cut to the replay of the unusual circumstances that happened last week, where Butch Reed painted Junkyard Dog yellow a week after he did the same to Stagger Lee.
Funny how that works, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, and it ran Stagger Lee out of the territory. And I don't blame Stagger Lee at all because he just came in to help out Big Head, and now that that's over, he returned to living next door to his hated rival, the Junkyard Dog.
Look, I just don't understand it. You hate this man so much that you can't even stay to get revenge on some white dudes that attacked you. but you don't hate him so much that you can't live next to him. Like, there's something. There just seems something weird about this whole Junkyard Dog and Stagger Lee situation. There's something that we're missing here. There is something that there's a piece of the story that we're not getting.
Indeed, I think we need to investigate this. I know Dog obviously passed away in '98, but do we know when if Stagger Lee's still with us?
Let's see. How old would he be? Oh, he might, he could possibly still be with us if he lived well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I hope that once he got out of the wrestling business, because I mean, he seemed to be growing at the same rate that Junkyard Dog was growing, and not in a good way either. So hopefully, once he got out of the wrestling business, he was able to trim up a little bit, get some abs or something, and eat less junk food. But
Well,
who
I
knows?
thought I thought I saw him work around Memphis sometime, and he looked a little svelter and looked in better shape.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
I heard there was a chance, and I don't know this for sure, so please, don't quote me on this. But I heard a rumor that he was in the car the night Junkyard Dog got into his accident and died.
Oh, that's well, I don't look. You're trying to get us in trouble. You already had me tweet about the Montreal Screwjob being at work and got us in trouble, and now you're gonna start this whole new conspiracy theory.
Uh, Obviously, your followers take that shit more serious than I do. Um, so I mean, I hope that nothing bad has happened to young Stagger Lee, although he's not really young anymore.
Uh,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, what?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was I have a little bit of carpal tunnel in my right hand, and I was trying to kind of work it out, and it made like a big popping sound.
Okay. Well, that's happening. Butch Reed is back on screen with JR. But I forgot to mention they're standing in front of the old Mid-South Wrestling backdrop too.
I didn't
So
notice.
no, yeah. But let's go to JR and Butch Reed, the greatest black athlete that's ever lived. Butch Reed, not JR. He's pretty white.
Well, there you see exactly what has happened again. A very sorry situation.
Sorry. What's so sorry about it, Ross? What? You just seen the real deal, baby. The real deal is Butch Reed. They talk about the Junkyard Dog, the greatest black athlete that ever lived. Well, that's a lie. You looking at it right here, like I said before. Look at me. Look at this brick house body. Look at this pretty face. Look at class, baby, from head to toe. Everywhere I walk, people respect me, call me Mr. Reed or Mr. Butch, however you want. So understand this. See, I done figured out that old field hand is a lot smarter than I thought he was, you understand? Because he got two identities. We all know he's a Junkyard Dog in disguise as Stagger Lee, you understand? That fat, nasty rascal. He set in number 3 as the Junkyard Dog, you dig? And then he set about number 5 and number 6 as Stagger Lee. So this fool is getting all the gravy. And where's Butch Reed at? Just like always, in the top 20, I'm number 19. And you know what? I think to go all the way back up to the tip top, baby. Number 1. You understand what I said, Mr.? Number 1. The greatest right here is Butch Reed. No marks on my face. I'm the greatest champion ever lived, a former Mid-South champion. I'm still a true champion. And I tell you what, dog, it's going to be bad on you from now on. Be Stagger Lee, be anybody you want to be, but Butch Reed will always be somewhere nearby.
I never thought he was like Dino Bravo boring, but I always thought Butch Reed was really boring to watch in WWF. What the hell does WWF do to these people, apparently?
That schedule that those guys were on, it killed them.
Apparently, I mean, but even the promos, it's like I don't remember any even decent Butch Reed promos in the WWF.
He was
It's
like, it was funny. I don't know. It's funny that he went there and then they made him like more of a character, but he had so much less personality than he had as Hacksaw Butch Reed.
Yeah,
And
he went before Duggan, right? So it's not even like, oh, they already have a hacksaw. Like, I think he was in the WWF first because he was wrestling at WrestleMania 3 and Duggan was just doing that run in.
Well, maybe they already knew they wanted Duggan. I don't know. Or maybe, who knows?
Possibly.
Who knows?
And you know
Maybe.
the story, the story that Vince had him bleach his hair and call himself the Natural because that would get big heat because he's not really natural.
Butch Reed, not natural. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm
mhm.
I'm going to hell for how hard I laughed at Reed calling Dog that old field hand.
I'll be honest, I missed that the first time it played. I noted that I kind of marked out when he said that Junkyard Dog is the top 6 contenders the North American title, and I
Yeah.
popped for that one.
Look,
I also noted him saying, "Oh, they call me Mr. Butch." I'm like, you definitely live in the South, don't you, Butch? Um, and so that is one of the 3 options for a name for this week's episode. We'll get to the other 2 here as we go along. But yeah, I don't think that one's gonna win because that was like a preliminary. Oh, let me make note of this one just in case.
we'll see.
Then we get Butch Reed versus Al Scott. Al used a one-legged drop kick. I'm not sure if that was his intention, but one-legged it sure was. And then Reed won with a running, diving shoulder block.
What if Al Scott used the temporal ham radio to listen to our podcast, and while he was doing it, he watched Zach Gowen wrestle Ricochet last week, and that was when he got inspired to do a one-legged drop kick.
There you go. You know, the night when the zero-haired man beat the one-legged man. All right, so we mentioned earlier that Jim Cornette is going to have the most monumental statement ever stated here in Mid-South Wrestling. Let's go to Jim Cornette. Well, first, JR is going to introduce it. But we're going to hear from Jim Cornette with the most monumental statement ever in Mid-South Wrestling.
After the program that Jim Cornette has made a statement that we videotaped just a few hours earlier. It's one of the most monumental statements that has ever been made in Mid-South Wrestling or professional wrestling for that matter. Let's go now to the comments of Jim Cornette.
I'm here today to tell the people of the Mid-South area that Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express have been unscrupulously cheated when it comes to the matter of the Mid-South Tag Team Championship belts. The Rock and Roll Express were on our list of exceptions that we gave on TV 2 weeks ago to not having a title match. So they turned out to be thieves. They stole Wrestling 1 and Wrestling 2's gear, and they impersonated them. Liars as well, to take the title belts away from us, and then they refused to give us a return title match on TV when they won the belts through deception on TV as well. Well, I've talked to my mother, and she transferred a lot of money, $50,000 to my local bank account, and I offer that for a return title match because a Cornette doesn't throw even that kind of money around lightly. And you will find out, Rock and Roll Express, what Junkyard Dog found out, what Cowboy Bill Watts found out, and what Magnum T.H.E found out. You may put something over on Jim Cornette and the Express, but I promise you, I always have the final word.
Well, that statement, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure has shocked you as much as it shocked us. I know the wrestling world will be talking about the $50,000 challenge against the championship for weeks to come. We hope to have more information on that as this hour progresses. And now let's go to the ring and Boyd Pierce.
I don't know about you, Trey, but you know that knocked me over with a feather.
Far be it from me to question Mama Cornette's financial acumen. Clearly, she's a very rich lady and understands how these forces work better than I do. But for $50,000 in 1984 money, I'm pretty sure you could just buy a controlling interest in Mid-South Wrestling.
They may have already tried that.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. You see, if she had just waited, she could have had her paid man on the board of directors that could somehow stop the rest of the board of directors from doing anything else.
My other thought was, maybe they, there's only like 4 teams in the territory. He would not have had to wait very long to get a title match. In fact, I'm not even sure there's 4 teams. There might only be 3. Well, Volkoff and Khrushchev, that's 4. So there's 4 teams in the territory.
We're gonna learn later that maybe Cornette didn't learn all the lessons that he should have from his experiences here.
Nope. But yeah, so he brought up what I brought up, when this happened, that the Rock and Roll Express were explicitly on the exception list, but yet they were still allowed to come out and have a match, which I was convinced that was going to lead to a reversal of the decision because, hey, contracts and everything, but apparently not.
Allowing that decision to stand is the worst thing Grizzly Smith has ever done.
Indeed. And, fuck the Grizzly Smith. All right. So up next, we're going to get the Midnight Express versus Lanny Poffo and the Alabama Junior Heavyweight Champion Mike Jackson.
Yes.
Let's go to the intro of the match.
Tag team action, 1 fall or 10-minute time limit. The team in the ring. From Lexington, Kentucky, leaping Lanny Poffo. And his tag team partner, 202 pounds, Birmingham, Alabama, Mike Jackson.
And that's enough. That's enough. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you now the greatest thing that ever happened to Mid-South Wrestling. Loverboy Dennis and beautiful Bobby, the Midnight Express.
No giant over-the-top intro by Corny this week. I guess it'd be too much to ask for them every week, but that's almost, week 1 Jim Cornette intro.
You know what? He realized that we had the Jobber Dream Team here for the guys to work with, and he was just in such a good mood that he chose not to taunt them.
There you go. There's some teams it's okay to, poke at them a little bit. This apparently is not one of them. We don't want to do that here.
This is funny. Like, it's so obvious when they're a guy that Bobby and Dennis are like, okay, we can do something with these guys.
Mm-hmm. And Mike Jackson goes on to lose about 740 matches to the Midnight Express over the years. They're not, or he is not the Mulkeys. The Mulkeys did eventually get a win. Mike Jackson, I don't know who the hell he beat for the Alabama Junior Heavyweight title, but it certainly wasn't Bobby, Dennis, or Stan. So I don't know why. I think it was because they played the theme song a little bit after the bell rang. What if the Midnight Express was the Caucasian New Jack and they just played the Midnight Express theme for the whole match?
That would kind of actually fucking go hard.
Anyway, Bobby pinned Lanny with the heart attack. I can't believe they used the time machine to steal that move from Brett and Anvil.
Okay, I understand that we've witnessed a lot of misuse of the temporal time machine, but I think it's very probable that they invented that and the Hart Foundation thought it was a good idea.
I guess it's possible. Anything is possible. Plus, since the Midnight Express are doing like every move ever invented in wrestling history, somebody else had to do something.
Because they invented all of them. Look.
If Bobby and Dennis start throwing super kicks, I'll be like, okay, this is a little too fucking weird.
Do you remember when it was a meme that Chris Jericho invented that? The Midnight Express invented tag team wrestling.
Yes. And I mean, it's easy to sit here and be like, oh yeah, the Midnight Express are always great. But it's serious. They've only been a team since Thanksgiving. Their first match on Mid-South Wrestling TV was their first match as a team. And they have been super pretty much since day one.
That's one of the things that Because like it was Watts' idea, right? It was Watts that saw like he saw, okay, there's Dennis, and I could put Bobby with him, and that Cornette kid like can fucking talk. Like it was a match made in heaven. Immediately it became like the parts are all great, and this is still like greater than the sum of the parts.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts on this fantastic little 3-minute tag match?
It was really good. I love these midnight squashes.
Okay. So up next, we get the debut of the highly rated newcomer, or as Boyd refers to him as an impressive newcomer, the Shadow, versus everybody knows Magnum T.A. Now, the first thing that came to my head, the second the Shadow came onto the screen, I'm like, that's Mr. Wrestling, right?
I thought so too. And then I looked for a second and I thought it's that fucking nose. It's the this fellow, the Shadow, I gotta say, he was a surprisingly good wrestler for a guy we never heard of, but there was just something familiar about him. I don't know if he were a class of World War II naval ship, he would be a destroyer.
So he's actually the destroyer.
This was Dick Byer, the destroyer. Yes.
Oh, I was so convinced it was Mr. Wrestling too. I'm like, why are we like ignoring this? Like,
okay, I really thought so too, and I watched most of the match thinking it, and I realized that if it was Johnny Walker, like Ross wouldn't have not called bullshit on it if it was Wrestling 2.
But it's like, I'm like, okay, Ross isn't calling bullshit because to the best of their knowledge, it is an impressive newcomer, the Shadow. But like then he was doing things like he was warming up the knee, and we'll see next week it is something else. And like TA started ripping at his mask. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is Mr. Wrestling too. But apparently you're telling me it wasn't. And Cage Match is not implying it either.
According to Cage Match, he was in for, I guess, the weekend. He wrestled Lanny Poffo in Baton Rouge on the 8th, and he worked this taping on the 9th.
Baton Rouge. So all these jokes I made about Mr. Wrestling and the Shadow, well, they don't quite work anymore. But Shadow does a judo chop. Shadow slapped on a side headlock and ran TA's head in the top turnbuckle. Shouldn't that have hurt Shadow the same way as it would have if you did the Bret Hart stomach first run into the corner? Shadow went to the top rope, which theoretically would have been a disqualification had he jumped off, but TA just yanked him away, and apparently that doesn't count. TA begins ripping at the mask, but fails at that, but he does win the match, winning with what I apparently wrote down, a Bally to belly suplex.
Bally to belly?
Yes, B-A-L-L-Y.
B-A-L-L. Oh, that's all. That was almost he almost invented the, if your finger had slipped just a little more, he would have invented the Bailey to belly.
Yep. I think it was, me just thinking about my girl Bailey. And when she debuted that in NXT for like 1 week, it was called the Hugplex, which I think is still a much better name.
I don't know. Bailey to belly is really good. It's too perfect not to use.
It is. It's definitely good. I just always liked the Hugplex. That was a good name, I thought.
Yeah.
But by the way, I guess this won't work for a title anymore, but title number 2 for this episode, In the Shadow of Mr. Wrestling.
Oh,
I guess that doesn't work anymore.
Sorry.
Damn. Well, we have a third one coming up later. Thank Joel Armstrong for the third one.
Yay. I like Joel Armstrong.
Any thoughts on Magnum TA versus our impressive newcomer, the Shadow?
It just like the way they worked, like it was clearly somebody, because like somebody that these people didn't respect wouldn't have been like competitive with Magnum for 4 minutes on TV.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's why I was convinced. Like, I'm like, oh, this is definitely Mr. Wrestling, because like it'll somehow come out later that this was Mr. Wrestling, and and this is how it leads to like their next series of title matches or whatever, because they make a point to say that TA is the new #1 contender. And yeah, so I just used the same
Yeah,
cage match to confirm that we should not get used to the Destroyer, the Shadow, because he's going to be in All Japan in 2 weeks.
yeah, I was really confused because I thought the same thing that you did, and then TA just won, and I was like, wait, that can't be like if that was what we thought it was, it would have been more than this, but it was just a match. And it
Or
was
like, especially to me, it was weird when Mr. Wrestling comes out either later this week or next week. Oh yeah, later this week, and he's like, he doesn't even mention that Punk Magnum TA or anything. I'm like, okay, we're going really subtle on this one, aren't we?
it was a different barrel-chested, big-nosed mass wrestling.
So up next was Buddy Landel and Masao Ito versus Tony Torres and John King. Um, so pretty much, I don't know how long, but like feels like at least a year. In the crowd, in the bleachers across from the hard camera, there's a kid in a Mr. Wrestling 2 mask wearing a Dr. X shirt, and he's been on screen the whole year. Well, this week, he was sticking his tongue out at Buddy Landel. Screw him!
Screw the kid?
Yeah.
Don't tell Grizzly Smith that.
I think it was a boy, so I mean, I think the kid's
Yeah.
safe.
Okay, that's good, I guess.
By the way, did you notice that JR called Joel Armstrong Bill?
Did he? Oh, that's funny. I'm sorry, Joel.
It made me think about how this week on TNA, main event Glenn Gilberti announced that he got Raven suspended moments after he really got Jarrett suspended.
I mean,
at least that was live TV. This was just JR having a slip of the tongue.
It was a swerve,
bro.
bro.
Ito pins John King, I think, with the chop. Actually, I wrote John King, and I'm like, I actually don't know who that really was. I wasn't paying attention.
As much as it pains me to actually be able to answer this, it was John King.
Okay. Ito is gone in 3 weeks, by the way, in case you care.
Okay.
We then get the winner of the television tournament for a medal and $10,000, Crusher Khrushchev versus Terry Taylor. Now, moments after I wrote that, Boyd called him the Mid-South Champion of Television, which might be an even better name.
Yeah, absolutely. He is the champion of television.
It's just, I gotta say, until I never heard anyone say it that way, so it's like that is actually a much cooler name than the television champion. You're the champion of television.
Remind me when we do the Mid-South show to go into my over analysis about how Luis Piccoli may be the only person who could possibly be better than Chris Candido.
Great, it's a Mid-South show. Tell us more about how Luis Piccoli may be the only person better than Chris Candido.
Oh, you know what I meant.
Smoky Mountain?
The other South show, the Appalachian show. I'm stupid. I'm so bad at everything.
1 second, let me make a note here.
You're gonna remind me, and I'm gonna be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Have you watched Smoky Mountain yet? I haven't watched it yet.
I have not, but
okay.
I have a little thumbnail on my media server, and if I'm seeing it correctly, I do see on a little thumbnail that Chris Candido is wrestling Louis McCauley, unless I'm seeing that wrong.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see this week on the Smoky Mountain Rewatch Along project. So Joel, I got an issue here with our good friend Joel Armstrong. He was complaining that Crusher Khrushchev didn't have a tough road to hoe in the tournament on his way to victory, mentioning that he had buys, he had forfeits, and then, Butch Reed attacked Terry Taylor before the finals. And none of this was Crusher Khrushchev's fault. He just happened to have the luck of the draw because, wasn't he supposed to wrestle Junkyard Dog, and then Dog got, Dog quit because he was becoming Stagger Lee, and then he got a bye in the tournament at one point. It's not like he went out there himself and did this. Anybody, whoever, hey, Crusher Khrushchev did not put together the brackets for the tournament. Somebody else could have benefited in the same way as Crusher Khrushchev if the brackets had been put their way. So I don't blame Crusher Khrushchev for this at all. It's, kudos to him for taking advantage of what was put in front of him.
So you're telling me that it's possible that on top of everything else, Grizzly Smith was also a Soviet sympathizer?
I think he could have been. I mean, we cannot prove otherwise, which I know this is where you bring up you can't prove a negative.
You can't fucking argue something based on the fact that there is no evidence.
Oh, Lord. So Terry Taylor has a lot of spunk and nearly won with a running crossbody.
I'm sorry?
He has a lot of spunk.
He has a lot of spunk. He's spunking all over the place.
That's
the title. Terry Taylor spunks all over the place.
I will not go with that one.
They're not going to let us go with that one on the not so angry marks.
Nope. And if I had at least a decent alternate name, I'd go with that. But the best name I can come up with isn't that great. But anyway, according to Joel, this match is awesome from offense to defense, back again. Taylor had the match won with a 5-arm, but Volkoff and Reed ran in for the DQ. Volkoff held Taylor for the top rope shoulder block, but Jiminy Christmas, Taylor moved, and Butch Reed took out Volkoff. Dr. Death eventually made the save, even though Taylor was having no problem fighting off all three by himself. And then Dr. Death stole the medal. Now, he was not entered into the television tournament for a medal and $10,000, so he has no right to be grabbing the medal that bestows the champion of television.
I mean, at least he didn't steal the $10,000.
There you go. I'm sad that Khrushchev has not had a medal ceremony every week after he retains his medal.
I think that Crusher Khrushchev's friends did him a disservice here, getting him disqualified. I think he was gonna make a comeback. I think he was gonna crush the spunk right out of Terry Taylor.
So anyway, the other name I was gonna name this episode is Jiminy Christmas.
Jiminy Christmas. Okay. Jiminy Christmas.
It is what Joel exclaimed in the middle of this match. Or not in the middle, but when Taylor moved.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas, Joel Armstrong.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to Mr. Wrestling. It was a very important statement, and it has nothing to do with him wrestling already on the show.
The Rock and Roll Express stole our gear, stole our robes, stole our mask, impersonated us, embarrassed us. Well, I'd like to know what Mid-South is going to do about it. Let me tell you something. Mid-South, knowing that they impersonated Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2, knowing that they embarrassed us, knowing that all the things that they have done, what are you going to do about it? I want to know. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Mid-South. If you don't take things in hand, if you don't act immediately, we will. We will settle it our way. I will take things in action, and I'll show you what's going to happen. I will not be responsible for the outcome.
I guarantee you, Mid-South, you know that they're wrong and we're right. So if you don't take steps, we will.
So, I hate to say this, but Mr. Wrestling has a point. The Rock and Roll Express stole their gear, stole their masks, backdoored themselves into a title match. And they're thieves.
It's kind of hard to disagree with Mr. Wrestling Not 2.
Yeah. Mr. Wrestling 1.2 here. He is not Tim Woods. Not at all.
No. Mr. Wrestling Not 2 and Mr. Wrestling 2 too.
Yeah. So, by the way, since he's not the Shadow, my next joke doesn't make any sense at all. But Mr. Shadow 2 was out next to take on Big Bob Owens. And they were not kidding. Big Bob Owens was a big fucking man. Like, they said 265 pounds, but I think he was closer to that 300-pound mark.
This was Mr. Wrestling 2's son, Mr. Wrestling 2, and Kevin Owens' dad, Bob.
I wrote, I cannot wait to see Hercules put this man in a torture rack. Oh, he didn't even try. He won with a body slam and an elbow drop.
He did. And then they played the Super Date at the Superdome video again.
Yeah. I wrote, oh, Jesus Christ, we had to watch the super piece about the Super Date at the Superdome again.
Super.
So with Hercules here in the territory, I have to ask you, who do you think the better team was? Is it Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2, or was it Herc and Jerk?
Herc and Jerk. Who was Jerk?
Paul Roma.
Oh, Paul Roma. He couldn't draw money with the freaking Etch-a-Sketch and, I don't know, whatever it is, with a kit that shows you how.
Was it Paul Roma that Dave said that about, or was it somebody else?
Yes, it was Paul Roma. Oh.
Or Dave, I just remember him saying that. I don't remember who he said it about.
It was like the most entertaining thing that Paul Roma's ever been involved in.
I don't remember what the first time I heard somebody call them Herc and Jerk was, but it popped me and it always stuck with me.
See, I was thinking who else did Hercules team with? Scott Norton? Like, surely you're not calling Scott Norton a jerk.
I would never call Scott Norton a jerk. I bet he is a very nice man.
He's a very large man.
Much like Haku. He's a very nice man.
He's as nice as he wants to be.
I have no problem making fun of Tama Tonga, even though he is the son of Haku.
Yeah. I don't think he's ever bitten anyone's nose off.
To the best of our knowledge. Remember the movie Dirty Work with Norm Macdonald?
At least I didn't get my nose bitten off by a Saigon whore.
Haku is probably not a Saigon whore.
It's I rewatched that movie when Norm Macdonald died a couple of years ago. It's still a fucking tremendous movie.
I have it on DVD. You should come over and watch it sometime.
It's great. Oh, if only we could do that for the Friday Night Spot show.
Oh man, yeah. That would be the quickest trademark infringement of all time.
Oh, if we ever get 100 people to pledge 1 cent apiece, we'll start a Patreon.
That $1 will be split evenly between us, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So I gotta admit, I was letting the credits roll or the end of the show run, just like I was finishing out typing whatchamacallit, what was happening next week. And have they always had credits at the end? Like it's had like director Oral Link, produced by Bill Watts or whatever, matchmaker Grizzly Smith. It's always been there. It hasn't been like it didn't for the longest time, but I have stopped watching those end closing things, long ago.
I think it has been lately, but like maybe it started like around the time they got the new logo.
Possible lie. I did like that they spelled Reese's name wrong. Guy's not even on the show anymore, and we're spelling his fucking name wrong. Poor Reeser.
I just remember thinking, oh wow, Oral Link is a real person.
Yes. We're okay. I'm gonna make a joke, but it's not gonna be funny anymore because I'm laughing about it. So they mentioned that next week, which we're gonna talk about in about 30 seconds. But next week is the formal signing of the highest dollar tag team match in the history of wrestling, of course, with the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express, plus a super match between Dr. Death and Nikolai Volkoff. Why do they want to go on a date with Ricky and Robert?
I'm sitting here trying to figure out because this is like a super pod at the Superdome or something.
Yes. I mean, we want to go on a date with Ricky and Robert too?
I mean, I'm sure they're very nice gentlemen to spend time with.
Robert was a very nice man when I saw him outside of the WrestleCon Hotel over Mania weekend.
Did he look you in the eye and also the forehead? I'm sorry, it's terrible.
Well, hell, I was gonna say he was looking at me in the highway at the same time. So,
we love you, Hoot. We love you.
Yeah. So that is it for the first episode of Mid-South Wrestling. And let's go to the next episode of Mid-South Wrestling. May 17th, 1984. They got rid of the wrong announcer. This week it's JR left instead of Joel, and Boyd Pierce used the time machine to get Chris Jericho's white suit after Orange Cassidy dumped orange juice on it and brought it into the past to wear it on this week's show.
Fantastic.
Let's go to Boyd and Joel here.
And welcome to this week's edition of Mid-South Wrestling Television. I'm your host, Boyd Pierce, and I'll tell you, we've got some exciting action coming up for you. We want you to stay with us through the entire hour. Listen to the big matches. Magnum T.H.E will be in the ring against Mr. Wrestling number 2. USA versus Russia as Dr. Death Steve Williams takes on Nikolai Volkoff. Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Crusher Khrushchev, the turncoat to Russia. It'll all be coming up. The man will be telling you about it, and I want to tell you about this fella, wrestling fans. I've known him a long time, and I've known his father, Cowboy Bill Watson. I've been listening to him the last few weeks. He's one of the most knowledgeable young men in professional wrestling. And I want you to do me a personal favor and listen to him and think about him and be behind him, because he's our coming man, and he's going to convey to you the thoughts that he knows, and that's what's going to really count. So support him. Right now, we're going to have really something monumental. In the ring, we're going to see a contract signed for $50,000 for the Mid-South Tag Team title. Let's go to the ring. Jim Ross is there right now.
I think I have a new name for the show instead of Jiminy Christmas. Think about Joel Watts.
Yeah, it's perfect.
What if I don't want to think about Joel Watts, Boyd?
Well, you must.
I guess Boyd did say we have to think about him. And so we're going to have a bunch of matches on this week's show. And Boyd wants us to do him a favor and listen to Joel Watts. So we've listened to him now for a couple of weeks, and we're going to listen to him again this week. When do we cash in this favor that Boyd owes us?
I guess he still owes it to us.
Let's see here. Is Boyd Pierce still alive? Oh my God, he is. He's 96 years old.
Oh, wow. Can we get him on the podcast?
Boyd Pierce, if you're listening to this, and I don't actually, well, here's where it's weird. He might not be alive. So when I Google him, It comes up, says his age is 96 years old, born October 19th, 1928. But then you scroll down a little bit, it says find a grave, Boyd Pierce, 1928 to 1999. Boyd Pierce was a pro wrestling ring announcer and color commentator for over
Oh,
30 years.
that Google
So,
AI ain't doing so great anymore.
so Boyd Pierce might be dead. Cage Match agrees, by the way, saying he died May 18th, 1999. And hell, I'm looking at his tomb. Um, so rest in peace, Boyd Anderson Pierce, born in Venus, Texas, which is in Johnson County. Tell us about Venus, Texas, Trey.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna Google where Venus, Texas is and see where it's at.
Okay,
I
well
don't know,
he's
I don't know
he's
where
been
Johnson.
he was
Hold on.
buried in Rendon, Texas, which is in Tarrant County.
Okay. So Tarrant County is like Fort Worth, Arlington, and Venus is south of Dallas, Fort Worth.
So are you gonna go check out Boyd Pierce's grave site?
Of course. Well, I'm not gonna have anything to do on the Friday of All In week, apparently. So give me something to do.
It's at the whatchamacallit. I know we were talking about this earlier off the air, but the ROH show. It's at that
The
eSports arena they were at
yeah,
last year, right?
yes.
Why? Like, I think that's okay. I'm sorry, and I'm some of the words, but like that's a pretty stupid fucking idea, don't you think? Like, I get it's still Ring of Honor, but it's like you're getting thousands and thousands and thousands of fans coming in. You're making a point to like have Dynamite and Collision and you're having the whatchamacallit, the Starcast Fan Fest there that week. It's like you're telling me the best you can do is just sell a few hundred tickets to the people who bought the VIP passes to y'all in.
Okay, I assume it's not because they wanted to. I assume that that's kind of part of their deal with the city was that the esports stadium would get a show and it's the Ring of Honor show. So I don't know. I'm like fucking annoyed because I was really excited to go when I went to go buy it because originally like they were gonna have like tickets like a normal show and then they changed it when they canceled the original Supercard of Honor and pushed this back to make it Supercard of Honor. That's when
Yeah.
they changed it, and then I don't know. I'm fucking annoyed about it, but what can I do?
I just think it's really fucking weird, and it's like it'd be one thing, like I said, it'd be one thing if and I guess okay, maybe it's an agreement with the city or whatever, but it's like I don't know, it seems kind of stupid, but AEW does a lot of weird decisions like that. Like I'm sure, like, are you on the shop AEW mailings list? You get all the AEW merchandise emails.
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, well, about once a month, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I'll get an email that says, we're releasing this brand new t-shirt that's only available for 1 hour and it's now available. It's like, okay, so you're telling me that if I didn't just happen to be on my email right now and see this email, I would not be able to buy this FTR shirt, which was the shirt they had last week. I'm like, this is really the hill y'all are choosing to die on here to make a shirt available for 1 hour only.
I don't think it's a hill that they're choosing to die on. I think it's not that big a deal when you have like so many fucking shirt designs to do something for like a special gimmick thing.
Okay. I just think it's kind of
I don't know.
stupid.
You could always say that things are like could be different, but then like just because things could be different doesn't mean that they're wrong.
Oh well. So anyway, when we're done thinking about Joel Watts, we're gonna go now to a monumental contract signing. Now, we heard about it last week, and by last week we mean about 20 minutes ago. Jim Cornette's mama has placed $50,000 into an account to get the Midnight Express a return match for the Mid-South Tag Team titles, and we're going to sign a contract for that. Let's go to the ring for this monumental event.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a pleasure for me to be a part of such a historic contract signing as we are about to have here. You heard the statement that Jim Cornette made last week on Mid-South Wrestling, and we are going to have the official contract signing. What exactly is going to transpire is that next week here on Mid-South Wrestling, the Mid-South Tag Team titles will be on the line here next week. The match will be one fall, no disqualification. Mr. Cornette has put up $50,000 to go against these championship matches. And matchmaker Grizzly Smith is here with me. And Grizz, I know you want to read the stipulations of the contract. Gentlemen, I want you to listen. I want you to listen very carefully to the stipulations of the contract so you both understand exactly what is about to transpire.
I want both parties, both teams, to understand the terms of this contract. Mr. Cornette, you have put up $50,000 against the Mid-South Tag Team titles held by the Rock and Roll Express. Now, in this agreement, if the Rock and Roll Express wins, they get your $50,000. Rock and Roll Express, you understand that if Mr. Cornette's team wins, you lose the Mid-South Tag Team titles and you don't get the money. Now, both parties understand that.
I understand exactly what I'm doing. I don't know about you. All right, then we need to have all the involved parties on the appropriate lines to sign the contract. Mr. Cornette, if you'll sign the contract, please.
I never sign anything without reading it.
There's 3 copies of this contract, ladies and gentlemen. The signatures, as I'm looking at, Jim Cornette representing the Midnight Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson representing the Rock and Roll Express.
I expect one of these.
Matchmaker Grizzly Smith also will sign this contract.
Am I right? Evidently it's correct.
It's going to happen right here, ladies and gentlemen, next week on Mid-South Wrestling. Mr. Cornette has put up $50,000 against these championship belts. There is one other special stipulation, which that match is one fall, no disqualification. One of the first times ever on television.
That's right. It's one fall, no disqualification, and somebody's going to get all the marbles.
You have a way with a phrase, Mr. Smith.
When Robert Gibson completes his signature on this 3rd contract, Grizzly Smith will sign it for Mid-South Wrestling as our matchmaker. And then I will sign it as the witness of this agreement. At that point in time, the terms of the contract will be permanent, and the match will take place here next week. Ladies and gentlemen, the contracts are signed, and they have been delivered. That match will happen here next week. Now, just very briefly, this is the most historic occasion I've ever been a part of. I want you to make a very brief comment.
What I've got to say is very brief. You two grinning idiots over here think you pulled something over on us when you hornswoggled us out of those belts. But let me tell you something. Junkyard Dog, Bill Watts, Magnum T.H.E, a lot of people thought they hornswoggled the Midnight Express. I always have the last word.
Gentlemen, you're the champions. It's all on the line next week.
Ross, you know, we won these belts right here for all these lovely people out here. And brother, I'll tell you what, we would defend these belts anytime, because we are fighting champions, Jack. But when this match is over, we're going to be $50,000 richer, baby.
The contracts are signed. The match will happen next week, and now let's go back to the desk.
Thank you, Jim Ross and matchmaker Grizzly Smith. And there you've seen the formal signing. Next week, it'll be the Express Showdown, the Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express, $50,000, and the Mid-South Tag Team titles on the line. Joel, it's going to be one great, exciting thing, and that's the reason we devoted so much time to this monumental occasion. You know, everybody can't be a winner. All you lucky women and all you lovely ladies have just seemingly fell in love with the Rock and Roll Express since their appearance here in the Mid-South area, but there can only be two winners. We're talking about two young ladies that are going to be the winners in the Super Date at the Superdome. You watch this next segment, and you'll know what we mean.
Okay. So we get the monumental contract signing. Apparently, unlike the last time we had, what was it, Magnum TA and Junkyard Dog, and poor Magnum TA had to stand there while Grizzly Smith was sitting. Apparently, somebody heard us complain, so instead of giving everybody a chair, nobody got a chair this week.
Fuck chairs. I like chairs. I'd be upset if there wasn't a chair.
Yeah. I think, you know, it's very polite if they had chairs available to them, because, I mean, who wants to be, you know, fucking, standing all the time?
Yeah, I as a person of size, and sometimes I don't know what the chair situation is going to be when I go places. Sometimes I just take my own chair.
There you go. And now JR did a great job of explaining the stipulations. So why the fuck did Grizzly Smith have to talk?
That great voice wasted on such a horrible human being.
Lord. Anyway, Cornette talked about how no one hornswoggles him, and no one hornswoggles the Midnight Express. Bill Watts doesn't hornswoggle him. Junkyard Dog doesn't hornswoggle him. I wonder if Hornswoggle hornswoggles him.
I think Cornette really should have remembered that whole never sign anything without reading it thing, because it goes back to bite him in the ass more than once in future years.
I know, and you know, and unfortunately, at this point, he gets too cocky as he gets older. Because here we just saw him; he read the contract. In 10 years, pretty much at the same time, both in the WWF and Smoky Mountain, he did not read the terms of the contract.
Yeah, I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what?
What is it? What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish.
I was going to say, what do you think his mama thinks? You know?
You know, Mama Cornette just... you don't do your kids any favors by thinking they can do no wrong. Sometimes they need correcting. And I think Mama Cornette might have been too permissive at times.
So who do you think would win a match between Mama Cornette and EC3's Aunt Dixie?
Oh, Mama Cornette.
You think so? I mean, I think, you know, Dixie has, you know, the youth at least. And I don't know, that's pretty much all she's got, and the fact that she's alive.
Okay, now look, okay, we know that Mr. Cornette passed away relatively young.
Did you say Mr. Cornette passed away relatively young? You mean his dad?
Yeah, okay. Yes, Cornette, Mr. Cornette Sr. So we know Jim Cornette pretty well, and all we know about Mama Cornette really is that she is rich enough and bad enough for that little shit to have grown up that arrogant. So, like, she's got to be pretty badass.
Okay. Meanwhile, you know, you could argue that EC3 did not, you know, he was a shit, but he wasn't that big of a shit.
Yeah. I mean, at least EC3 was, you know, somewhat capable in his own right.
He was an EC 3-time world champion.
Really?
Yeah, two TNA, one NWA.
Okay, I didn't realize. Okay, I knew about the one TNA.
And he won the second one. It was remember when they stripped the title because they taped like 6 months of TV before they got canceled off of Destination America? And so they taped like all those months of like random matches in July and then aired them afterwards. So they'd stripped the title, or Matt Hardy vacated the title after Bound for Glory when he beat EC3 for it. And they did this 3 month long tournament that ended when they went on to Pop TV and EC3 won it and then immediately lost the belt to Matt Hardy when they did a double turn.
That's like, I don't remember that at all, but that's hilarious.
And that was also when Tyrus turned on EC3 and they had a skit with like Matt, Reby, Tyrus, and Tyrus was holding Matt's kid, King Maxwell, when he was like a baby.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I mean, if nothing else, Tyrus is a big teddy bear, or a big dinosaur.
How did they never do? How did they never do an angle where they brought someone in as Mama Cornette?
I don't know. I'm a little surprised they never even tried that.
Yeah.
I mean, we met Shelton Benjamin's mama, but not
right,
Kim
right.
Cornette's mom. According to Shelton, I forget. I just saw this recently. I don't know if it's a new video or an old video, but I saw Shelton do an interview about it, and he basically said that the point of that was like he was going to go heel on his own mom, and that was going to make him a bigger heel. I don't know. Thea Vidal was pretty entertaining.
That always shout out to Shelton Benjamin for telling Hulk Hogan to go fuck himself.
But come on, Hulk Hogan was a big fan of Benjamin Shelton.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Super date at the Superdome. Again.
Yes, okay, and I re-listened to it now, but when I first watched this, I thought Boyd had a slip of the tongue and pitched it to the sex segment. But he said the next.
Oh, that would have been better.
Okay. Yes. But then, speaking of things that are fantastic, we got a match with Jerry Gray versus a man who, I don't care how they really pronounced it, his name on the graphic was Mark Ragin.
Yes, it was. Oh, and he was a thriller.
He got entrance music, and even JR seemed to be confused by him getting entrance music.
Okay, so I did a little bit of Googling that landed me on the Wrestling Classics message board, and I found out the reason that Dick Beyer came in for a couple of days and worked a couple of matches was so they would give a look to one of his students, who was in fact one Mark Ragin.
Well, unfortunately, we should not get used to Mark Ragin right now because he'll only be here for a month. But don't worry,
he'll be back,
because Mark Ragin will be back next year.
And before that, he'll be in World Class.
Well, the graphics said Mark Ragin. They tried to say it was Mark Regan, but no. Mark Ragin came out. He was dancing, which angered Jerry Gray so much that Jerry Gray kicked the ropes.
Jerry Gray, or as he's known in England, Jerry Gray, looked like the biggest fucking geek here.
I like that. Once I finally give up on that joke, you had to tell it.
Oh.
And for the second time in this show, I got to say that somebody was the 1984 version of New Jack, because his damn music played into the match. And then Mark Ragin won with a middle rope crossbody.
So according to Cage Match, Mark Ragian would wrestle throughout the 80s. He would do some WWF jobs around 89, 90. He worked one final All Japan tour in 1998, and Mark Rajan's last match, he and the Giant Kamala, that's Kamala 2, lost to the team of Jado and Gato.
See that, yes. Yes. Okay. I'm just reading the Dave Meltzer Daily Update to see if there's anything we have to actually mention. I don't think so.
Nothing about Mark Rajan?
Sadly, nothing about Mark Rajan. Duke the Dumpster Drosy is going to be arraigned on Wednesday on his charges of attempted aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor and attempting to purchase child sexual assault material from the dark web.
Those are like just the worst possible combinations of words.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, they were. And apparently Chris Jericho is going to be playing at Crusher Fest this weekend. So if you're in South Milwaukee, check that out along with seeing Tito Santana, Tommy Dreamer, Steve Snow, Jimmy Hart, and Ken Resnick. I gotta
Steve Colonel Snow.
It says Tito Santana, Tommy Dreamer, Steve Snow,
That's I just imagine the Crusher giving Chris Jericho that big old bolo punch.
I bet Jericho would even try to sell it.
I'm sure he would.
All right, so up next we got Tag Team Champions Rock and Roll Express versus Buddy Landel and Masao Ito. They got the heat on Gibson of all people after he missed the Stinger Splash. And I mean, thinking about this, seeing Gibson going for a Stinger Splash made me think about that episode of Young Rock where The Rock apparently met Sting in 1984 at a wrestling show. So, even though Sting didn't start wrestling until the end of 85.
I never watched that show.
I don't know how Dave Meltzer ever watched it without his head exploding.
Dave is like concrete. I don't know how Dave does a lot of things that he does.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure he did, but I remember when I watched the Von Erichs movie, The Iron Claw, I was like, man, Dave's head is gonna explode watching this movie.
Honestly, watching Dave interact with the world around him makes me wish I was more autistic.
Yeah. I did take umbrage with something he said earlier. I don't know when he said it, but I saw it earlier today. Somebody's called Cody versus Dustin at Double or Nothing one of the best brother matches ever, and he's like, one of, it's not even close. And I'm like, you gave the exact same rating to Brett versus Owen at SummerSlam, and Brett versus Owen at WrestleMania was not that far off. He did not respond.
I don't.
Technically, I just said Brett versus Owen has entered the building.
SummerSlam match, that ain't for me, dog. That ain't for me.
Well, I mean, if we just go purely on Dave's rating, the cage match at SummerSlam had the exact same rating as the Cody Dustin match at Double or Nothing.
I don't think it's fair to quantify ratings against people.
Yeah, but I'm just kind of happy he didn't respond because I would have, depending on my mood, because I was in a grumpy mood earlier today. If he would have responded saying that Cody Dustin was a little better, I would have gone off for some reason just because I was in a shitty mood and wanted to take it out on somebody.
I love the WrestleMania 10 match, but that Cody Dustin match was like really special.
Well, anyway, back to 1984. Ito misses a headbutt. We get the hot tag. The Rock and Roll hit the double drop kick, and the Rock and Roll Express wins.
By the way,
yay!
Did you know that I was there when Cody and Dustin wrestled on pay-per-view at Fastlane 2015?
I was gonna say, the way you said that, I'm like, it was that time they wrestled like Elimination Chamber, wasn't it?
Oh, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, it was not Double or Nothing.
It was not. It was not.
Yeah. And it's like they really wanted to make up for that, you know?
And they did, in all fairness. Honestly, the best part of that show was Sting pointing the bat at the WrestleMania sign. And look what that led to.
A few weeks beforehand, Triple H came out and did an interview about how at Fastlane he would do an interview. So we do have some wacky, well, not really wacky, but we do have a little bit of breaking news. Kevin Kelly has announced the start of his own promotion called, and this is really what he's calling it, Time Honored Excellence, T.H.E. And the logo is the logo is a shield with a bald eagle on it. And
this is gonna be like the most fucking MAGA coded wrestling. Like, this is gonna make fucking Control Your Narrative look like, I don't know.
So the first show for Time Honored Excellence, Saturday, August 9th at the Carlisle Expo Center in Carlisle, PA. T.H.E. Pro Wrestling in Central PA is pronounced "the," and it represents my vision of wrestling. As we used to read in the After mags, fan favorites versus rule breakers, good guys versus bad guys, local wrestling that serves the community through family-friendly pro wrestling at affordable prices. There's a reason I emphasized affordable prices, because it was not bolded or whatever there. Okay, so yada yada yada. What makes the pro wrestling different? In addition to a fundamental approach to pro wrestling, Time Honored Excellence will serve the local business community by sharing local businesses to the world at large. Every small business has a story, and you will meet many of the small business owners right here across social media platforms. Our hope is the light we shine through the beacon of pro wrestling helps their businesses grow in Carlisle and throughout the region. After showing the Carlisle community what we do, we will begin to spread our wings throughout central Pennsylvania and help businesses grow in other towns throughout the region. Tickets. Now this is where I guess I kind of misread it. These aren't as bad as I thought at first, but anyway, tickets. 85 VIP tickets go on sale tomorrow at noon through Eventbrite. VIP fans will enjoy ringside seats and will receive a commemorative T-shirt, a souvenir poster, a gift bag featuring items from local stores, and vendors and VIPs get free pizza. These limited seats are $50 each. We also have a super fan section that gets you all-you-can-eat pizza and soda, as well as and other surprises as well. So the VIP don't get soda; they just get pizza. Huh? Interesting.
Oh, that's not fair.
Well, they get pizza and soda and other surprises as well. 100 seats at $35 each. These tickets will go on sale later this week. General admission is $20, and each paid adult can bring 2 kids for free. We want families to come and enjoy a night out. The event won't last more than 2.5 hours, so you can get home at a decent hour. Fans can purchase tickets at the door or online for the same price. And I mean, it's a neat logo, but I mean, yeah, it's definitely got MAGA vibes. And Kevin, and I hate to throw somebody who I love and respect under that same banner, but Kevin's running it with Brutal Bob Evans.
Yeah, look, I was a big fan of Kevin Kelly as the English voice of New Japan, and That's all I will say.
That's all you have to say about that.
It is.
All right. So Boyd pitches it to break, but after he pitches the break, before we actually go to break, Mr. Wrestling's 1 and 2 walk out to grab a microphone.
Hey, Rock and Roll Express, come on over here. Why don't you come on over here and give us a title match right here? Come on in the ring and give us a title match. You talk so big thieves. Come on in here and give us a title match right now. Come on.
Russ, we just got through wrestling here on TV. But, brother, you sign the dotted line anytime. You name the place. We just got through wrestling. We're going home. Woo.
You're going home, huh? You might be going home, but you won't be going home with these, my boy.
Well, it seems that Mr. Wrestling 2 and Mr. Wrestling have... They appear to have stolen the Rock and Roll Express's jackets, and Ricky and Robert are flaming mad. There is fire in their eyes.
And we'll be back right after this important message.
They are flaming mad, Trey. Ricky and Robert are.
You know, I feel like they kind of, at first, two kind of pulled their punk cards. And then, but they kind of punked out too, so I don't know. They all kind of sucked.
Like I said, I like earlier, it's like they kind of brought it on themselves.
Yeah, I don't know. And then, like, so, spoiler, here in about 30 seconds, Mr. Wrestling also is going to wrestle Magnum Taa. And so was the plan for them to get an impromptu title match with not two in his fucking Mr. Rogers sweater and two still having to wrestle T.H.E?
Apparently, yes. I did laugh because Ricky and Robert said that, you know, they'll take on anybody anytime and, you know, challenge everyone. And as soon as 1 and 2 accept the challenge, it's like, well, we just had a match, so maybe next week.
You know who I think would make better choices if he were in this situation?
Bullet Bob Armstrong?
The Shadow. Because,
yes.
Because he never does anything unless he's beyond the shadow of a doubt.
See, I don't even know why Bullet Bob popped into my head just now. I'm just like, I don't know. Anyway, we go to commercial. We come back from a commercial. And to quote what I wrote, I still won't shut up. Or maybe that's supposed to be one still won't shut up. Either way, let's go to some video.
I got something to say. Wait just a minute. I still want to know why we didn't get a title match here.
Well, I can't answer that question, but I've got a question I'm sure that the wrestling fans would like to have an answer to. If you wanted the Rock and Roll Express as badly as you say you do, which I don't doubt, why did you run from the ring when they came back to the ring? Why did you run instead of staying here and fighting?
Hey, listen. We could beat them at will. You understand that? I said I wanted a title match, and that's what I want. I want a title match. I don't want us wasting our time wrestling and beating them guys without a title on the line.
All right, okay, you made your statement. We have a match, so I'm going to finish introducing this match. So, Mr. Wrestling, if you would please leave the ring, we'll start this match. Ladies and gentlemen.
This is also where I was thinking, man, this really is the Shadow. Because it's like, you know, you got the side eye between the two of them. And I know they're feuding, but still, it's like, okay, motherfucker. And, you know?
Yeah. This is, I don't know, kind of confusing, I guess. Like, it would... The shows would make more sense if the Shadow had been 2 almost. Not even
So
almost. It would make
JR
a lot more sense.
JR asked why did they run from the ring when the Rock and Rolls wanted to fight, and I said they wanted a title match and don't want to waste their time. I don't know why I'm sticking up for Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2 so much, but here we are.
You usually don't have such incisive opinions on the happenings here. I can see that you're very invested.
I really am.
Yeah.
So, they talk about like the best young talent are the ones that watch tape and watch the matches of like, their future opponents. And obviously T.A. was watching last week's match with Mr. Wrestling 2 and Big Bob Owens because he stole Mr. Wrestling 2's setup move using a body slam here on 2. And
TA was a student of the game. He was the world champion that should have been.
He's like, use the body slam before it can get used on me.
Yeah,
and
smart.
2 was so mad that he used a bear hug. TA used the belly to belly, and 1 got on the ring apron and got his ass kicked. 2 put that foreign object on his knee pad and kneed TA in the ribs for the DQ, and then the Rock and Rolls ran in for the save.
Yeah, TA attacking 2, or sorry, not 2, wasn't a DQ, but then 2 hit TA with the loaded knee, which was a DQ. And by the way, when I say 2, I'm not saying like the little frilly thing the ballerina wears. It's Roman numeral 2 and then TOO.
So are you sure implying that Hercules wears a tutu?
I mean, Hogan did it in Mr. Nanny, so why not?
Maybe that's where Hogan got the idea.
You think that during the Herc and Jerk days that Tutu was wearing a tutu?
I think it's very possible. Oh my God. So I wish I could find the video of this so I could play the audio. There is a WWF house show from like early 1990. It was when Hercules was still a babyface before he started teaming with Roma. I don't even remember who he was wrestling. It might have been Haku. And Gorilla Monsoon and Lord Al Hayes are on commentary. And for some reason, Gorilla Monsoon starts talking about how earlier that day Hercules was showing him pictures of children and pets. And he's like, and they weren't even Hercules' children and small pets. And like, what? Why was Hercules showing pictures of other people's children and small pets to Gorilla Monsoon?
That was a pretty great babyface turn though, because like he literally the reason that Hercules turned babyface in the first place was because the manager who he had like a booking contract with literally thought that he could sell him into chattel slavery.
Now, that's the part that was a little but Bobby Heenan got the contract because Slick sold it to him 2 years earlier.
Well, Bobby wasn't a fucking dumbass like the $1 Million Man, apparently. Because he fucking bragged about it.
And actually it didn't lead to a WrestleMania 5 match. We had read to match at WrestleMania 5, but no, Haku took on Hercules and DiBiase took on Brutus Beefcake.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yes, it was. So then we get Nikolai Volkoff versus Dr. Death Steve Williams, who has stolen the medal, indicating the Mid-South champion of television. I realized the mat is not taut. Like, Dr. Death was planting his feet at one point and it was like pushing up. I'm like, that shit is dangerous. I don't want to alarm people, but pro wrestling is not on the up and up, and thus you need a nice a nice flat mat to run and do your moves on. And so it can be dangerous if part of it is just sliding it up under your feet.
You really think wrestling's not on the up and up?
I don't want to imply anything here, Trey, but I think that there's a chance it might not be real.
This thing where people commit felonious assaults on each other and then resolve their differences with sporting contest is not a legitimate depiction of reality.
I have my doubts, so I'll just say that.
The thing where people body slam each other over minor disagreements isn't on the up and up?
No.
Wow.
So this is actually it for Nikolai Volkoff. This is
Really?
his last TV match, yeah.
Oh.
I'm not sure if he's going to be on the shows because he is here till the end of the month, but he doesn't wrestle on TV again. And then he is on his way to Georgia, and then when Vince buys the territory in 2 months, that's how that's where it's weird. Vince has bought the territory because he buys Georgia in like April, but there's a prolonged is a real stretch of the word. There is a several month legal battle between Ole and Vince over whether or not Vince could legally buy it. And that's when Nikolai Volkoff joins Georgia, and that's how he ends up in the WWF.
Hey, good for him. Right place, right time.
Yep, indeed.
One of the very first people to win a championship at WrestleMania. He and the Iron Sheik.
Yes. I think that was the first. Yeah, that was the first title change because Wendy Richter and Leilani Kai was the semi-main.
Yep.
Terry Taylor versus the Shadow, and I wrote, "Are we really doing this again?"
I really wanted Terry hit a Thez press and got a near fall at like the 5-second mark, and it would have been so hilarious if that had been the finish. Like if this was not Dick Beyer and was just a random mask geek, that would have been a beautiful finish.
So Shadow apparently doesn't have a good rapport with the fans and kept accusing Taylor of yanking his tights. Joel said Colonel Fergie didn't see Shadow yank Taylor's hair. Did he mean to say Colonel Fergie, or did he mean to say Carl, do you think?
He probably misspoke. By the way, did you know it's weird that the Shadow did not have a great rapport with the fans? These fans loved masked wrestlers. Did you see all the fucking Mr. X masks in the crowd?
Yes, I did, especially on that kid that stuck his tongue out at Buddy Landell last week.
Yeah, there was several.
Yes. So Taylor comes back and wins with the 5-arm. Poor Shadow.
He wrestles his student Mark Ragin in Houston on the 11th, and then that is pretty much 84 was the last year that he wrestled full time. He would for the next 9 years. He was a high school gym teacher somewhere in upstate New York, right?
I mean, he's from so probably Buffalo.
And during this, Buffalo area. And during the summer, he would go and do an All Japan tour and did that, about once a year till 93 when he had his retirement match.
All right. Then we get the one and only true Mid-South champion of television, Crusher Khrushchev, versus Hacksaw Duggan. The match begins and Khrushchev hurled Duggan out of the ring, but Duggan then threw Khrushchev's knee into the post, which led to the strangest sight I've seen in a long time, Hacksaw Jim Duggan working over a body part. Gotta say, it's not something that comes up too often on this in the history of Jim Duggan.
No, not usually his strategy.
Nope. And then he had the match won with the spear, but Volkoff and Reed ran in for the disqualification. Reed began spraying shaving cream all over Duggan's body, but specifically his head too. And I think nobody told Jim Duggan about this because Jesus Christ, he fought this like it was a shoot. And luckily for everyone involved, Doc and Taylor made the save. And
it was so much shaving cream that I thought that they had like shaved his head because it was so like slick and you couldn't see the hair at all. It was a comical amount of shaving cream.
I just always think it's funny and like I mean it's America and it's not just Jim Duggan, but like they always make a point like Jim Duggan believes in freedom of speech and expression, which is why he's running out and attacking these people who use their freedom of speech and expression to talk about how much they prefer Russia.
The Freebird, the Russians should have gotten some of that Freebird hair cream. I bet that they would have gotten along very well. The Freebirds are Confederates. They'd love an American trader like Crusher Darso.
Yeah. But unfortunately, I don't think their paths ever cross.
Unfortunate.
And then, speaking of unfortunate things, I wrote in all caps, "Oh my fucking God, they end the fucking show with the fucking super date at the fucking Superdome video package." This is when it got inducted into the Something Else Hall of This Sucks.
The super date at the Super This Sucks.
Oh God. Yeah. One lucky unmarried 18-year-old lady. It's like
two lucky unmarried 18-year-old ladies.
You couldn't have made it sound creepier. Just like if the point is like it's supposed to be sweet and innocent, because it's chaperoned. Like that's the thing too. It's chaperoned. They make this point that don't worry, it's a chaperone thing. So then why is it not open to like teenage girls? Like, and B, why do they have to be unmarried?
I don't know. It's very creepy.
The whole fucking thing, it's just like I know
I pray that they show us the girls that win.
Oh God. I don't know if sad is the right word, but I am heartbroken that we're not seeing pictures of all these girls who are sending in their pictures to possibly win here.
That should just be the whole show, just like Joel Watts going through the pictures.
We're just like having like a lower third. We're just like showing pictures on a loop.
Yeah.
We could be doing that on World Class instead of watching John Mantell matches.
Oh, that'd be so much better.
Bill Mercer randomly announces one week, "Hey, our friends in Mid-South Wrestling are holding a contest of a super date with the Rock and Roll Express. Here's pictures of the girls who have sent in their information."
That'd be a great spot show if we could watch like Johnny Mantell and Kelly Kiniski wrestle while Joel Watts and Drunk Mark Lawrence look at pictures of pretty girls.
Oh Lord. So yeah, that the super date at the Superdome. I know that they do this, or not exactly the same. They didn't do the Superdome. They do something similar in Mid-Atlantic when they're there in Jim Crockett, and it's like I don't know, I don't know why they just make it sound so much creepier here than I remember it being in Crockett.
Yeah, it's Louisiana for you.
I think the big part is just as we keep saying, it's the part where they keep going, an unmarried 18-year-old girl. It's like,
send a hot
okay.
picture.
Yes, send a quality picture in. And it's like,
It's very, very creepy.
Yeah. So, I mean, you live in that area. Do you think that there are, quality, attractive, 18 to 22-year-old girls that are wrestling fans that would be sending in pictures, you think?
In 1984, probably, because that was actually like when normal people liked wrestling and they weren't all weirdos and nerds and degenerates and reprobates like we have now. They were probably like somebody in fucking Baton Rouge listening to us right now, like your hot mom in the 80s probably wanted to fuck Ricky and Robert.
I was going to ask, do you think, did your mom, send in a application to try to win the contest?
My mother in 1984 would have been 30 years old and married with children.
Oh, God damn it.
She's not eligible.
Yeah, I mean, she was at least 18, but it was that whole, she's married. I mean,
Hey,
they don't say anything about. Sorry, go
my
ahead.
mother was a beautiful young woman. I've seen photos.
I'm sure she was. Um, but I noticed they never say childless. So you could be a single mom and win the contest.
Well, I mean, imagine a world that the Rock and Roll Express doesn't cater to single moms.
Was it Stan Lane, or were you here when Jim Cornette said Stan Lane wasn't here one week on Smoky Mountain because there was a shortage at the home for single unwed mothers to use out volunteering?
I have heard that before. By the way, I listened or I watched fairly recently. It was a shoot interview with Bobby and Dennis from sort of circa whatever 2004 or whenever, and Dennis pretty much said that the reason that he disappeared in '87 was because of a paternity issue he had to deal with.
I I always think like things like that are kind of funny. Like when I think of the womanizers in Jim Crockett Promotions, Dennis Condrey and Ole Anderson aren't the two people I think of.
I wanted so badly for that brain dead congresswoman from Ohio to have been Stan Lane's love child.
That Lauren Boebert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, well, anyway, we actually almost went 2 hours this week. I don't know why. I was thinking this was going to be a short show.
I don't know. I don't know how we keep doing this.
Well, I mean, we have good conversation, good quality conversation, and we laugh at preposterous things like the super date of the Superdome.
Indeed.
All right, so that's going to do it for this week's show. Listen to tomorrow's show, listen to Thursday's show. If we ever get another Oh My God cast, listen to that, or go into the archives and listen to the full archive of both this show and that show. And yeah, I hope everyone has a good rest of your week, and talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.